You know, I really felt that I wasted about 10 years of my life, and I hope that most people don't waste that much time in their lives. You know, I had a lot of friends in the music business and any field that fall into that comfortable state of hatred where they're not progressing, they think they're not getting anywhere, and they resort to drugs, alcohol, and married people resorting to infidelity just to have some excitement. There's a better way, there's a different way to do it. You don't have to fall down the tube to get something out of life. When I fell into that comfortable state of hatred, I tried to self-medicate, doing illicit drugs and drinking, and I really wasted a lot of time. And now that I'm older, I want that time back, and guess what? I can't get it back. So if you're stuck and you're in a loveless relationship or in a job that you hate, or you're just not progressing in life, you're just stagnant, you'll have plenty of time to be stagnant after you die. Don't be stagnant right now. Don't waste one day. Check out my book. If you can't afford my book, find me on Facebook under Los Angeles, NIK. I'll send you a book for free. Don't fall down that hole. Don't stop learning. Don't stop sharing. Don't stop progressing. Thanks, man.
You're watching Modern Rock. Twin Cities.
LA Nick here, Modern Rock Television. Good to be back here at Willie's Guitars here in St. Paul. It's been a long time since you've been here. Happy to be back. I always love coming to this store. They have such a great inventory and it's constantly changing. Today's show is about the history of hard rock, metal, how it merged, and what it's become today. You might ask, what do I know? How do I know? You know, what gives me the authority to know? So I save everything my whole life, and this is a newspaper article from 1983. It says, heavy metal, what is it and why won't it go away? And it's pretty funny to read it because they talk about it like it's the end of the world. And right there's a picture of me in the article. My band at the time was called The Unexpected, and our slogan was the most devastating metal band in the world. And in the same year as that, which is 1983, this was the front page cover of a magazine on the a newspaper on the East Coast. Heavy metal is the magnet, and talking about how big metal is in introducing America to metal. And I made it on the page 2. Nikki visiting from LA, and I was home for one day and I got in the paper. But I had a good time in those bands, and I realized the importance of the difference between music and entertainment. And a lot of bands still don't understand that, and they get mad that these bands that aren't so good are making all this money because they're not great musicians, but they're great entertainers. You know, this was my first band. This is like 1980. It was called The Unexpected. That's me right there. And we were entertainers. We weren't great musicians. I was a mediocre drummer. Both the Jimmys, we were a three-piece band. They were both, now Jimmy Kerr is a great guitar player. He actually makes all the guitars for Kiss. Jimmy Kirkwood was a mediocre bass. We were all mediocre, but we were entertainers, and we packed every show that there was. And there's a band that I found that's I'm actually jealous of their band. And believe it or not, they're right here from Minnesota, a band called Blue Felix. They've taken metal, rock, hip-hop, rap, and everything else you could think of and made a soup out of it that, I don't know, I think they're a very entertaining band, man. Every time I see one of their videos or I see them play live, I just can't help but smile and be happy and just dig them. And we're going to introduce them to you right now. Here's a video from Blue Felix, Uncle Scan.
Push it to it. What good is this life when you're treated spinning around, up in the lights, out in the clouds, burning so bright without making a sound. The living will die, fall to the ground, taking a bite and earning the right to sacrifice your life. This bandwagon fate that you've chosen to ride will prove in the end that the blind lead the blind. Twisted and turning, it's not what it seems. Blistered and burning, confirming your dreams. No strangers to hurting, we'll do what we please. Only observing their lies through their teeth. You hold the guns, they hold the office. They'll lead you for fun and they'll kill you for profit. Leading the free world, united they stand. They're calling this freedom, they're holding our hand.
Whether you're an amateur, novice guitar player, or you're a complete expert, if you're an amateur, you will not be intimidated coming in the store. It's like walking into your family's living room. I mean, everybody here is super cool. If you don't know certain things, if you don't know what certain guitars are, if you don't know certain amps, they'll tell you, they'll teach you. If you're an expert, if you're the best guitar player there is and come in here, you'll be impressed. They have an unbelievable inventory. Come and check out Willie's Guitars here in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I got Toxic Chip here from Blue Felix with me. I've been envious of his band since I've seen him 2 years ago, and I've always wanted to ask him. I've seen him out, we've partied before, but I've never asked him the questions I want to ask him today. First of all, where'd the name come from? I've heard rumors.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors.
Blue Felix is an unusual name.
Yeah, Blue Felix comes from I don't know how G-rated we are, but it's basically it's like a psychedelic concoction. We come on little paper tabs in the mid '90s.
I heard that rumor. I heard it was the name of an acid that went around.
Yeah,
so that is true.
It is. And it used to be yellow Felix, red Felix, blue Felix.
And was that in Minnesota thing?
Yeah, it was like it was all over. It was all over. It just there was a wave that came through, and there was actually an underground guy developing and all this, and
it's a catchy name, but people always wonder what's Blue Felix.
And I had always favored.
Does anybody say who's Felix?
They do a lot. We favored it a lot, and all the music and all of our backgrounds and everything come together, and that's kind of how basically the band was this trip, and that's what our pastime was.
Before I get back on the subject of, and the point of this episode is how different genres of rock, metal, punk, hip hop, rap have all becoming. They're just merging. And it's almost like races are all merging. It's all becoming this one thing.
Yeah.
I know that your father is in Hairball.
Yeah.
And Joe Dandy.
Yep. There's a singer. One of the three singers.
Yeah, one of the three singers. And they're actually great guys. a couple of times that I got hated on in Minneapolis, they the few people who reached out to me.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
sent
they're
me-
all good dudes.
Yeah,
man.
To me, I was never a big tribute band
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Just because I lived that life.
Yeah.
And to me, it was always like I felt like those bands made fun of me. Like, and they actually don't. Steel Panther makes fun of it.
Yeah.
They make it campy, but Hairball actually doesn't. I mean, they do it right.
They're basically, people can go and relive that time in their life.
And you know
All
what?
those people go there and they're there
and you know
again.
what? And I appreciate that they give people the chance to relive it, because it's something that if you weren't there, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I see that. I see that you guys have learned that art of entertainment mixed in with the music, and I want to talk about that. I came across Blue Felix just on YouTube with a couple 100,000 views on a video, and knew that they were a Minnesota-based band. I'm like, but nobody here's ever heard of them, and I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know if it's the economy, if it's just the people nowadays with cell phone and technology and the internet has like kind of killed that mystique of go to a rock show and just be part of this thing.
But I just saw you guys play, was it Michigan?
Yeah.
And it was a packed house.
Yeah, they still kind of. I mean, it is funny like
But
that.
I actually saw Corrosive Conformity Michigan, and it was the line was around the block.
Yeah.
Corosive Conformity couldn't even play any
Yeah,
club here.
yeah.
They play 7th Street Entry. I mean, I think that you guys are smart, not claiming to be a Minneapolis band. You're a band that you can't even classify. I sit there and listen to your stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. It's got so much. It's got metal. It's got rock. I hear blues riffs. I hear hip hop. I hear rap. What do you classify Blue Felix as?
And genre is
Can
the
you?
hardest thing. No, and I don't like that. What I do is basically we just each come from different musical backgrounds and life experiences, and we take this all and we just bring it to the table and we play what we're feeling. We don't try to be like, well, we should write songs more like these dudes because that's what they're trying to hear, or we should have this.
So
we just start with that riff.
tune it all out? Because that's what I always did. I always tuned everything out
Oh, yeah.
around me out. I listened to Black Flag. I was a Dead Kennedys freak. I remember Slayer came out, and I swear to God, I remember the first time I ever saw Slayer, they used to wear head-to-toe white spandex jumpsuits with black crosses on their chest, and their hair teased out here, but they were playing speed metal. And the first metal band, and I followed me. I was always into music heavily. And I never heard the term heavy metal. And there's so many different kinds of metal. And you guys are a metal band. I would consider metal. There's a lot of metal riffs. There's so many different kinds of genres in metal. There's speed metal and death metal and there's
So many now.
There's like
You can't
100
keep
kinds
track.
of metals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the first time I ever heard heavy metal, there was a band out of Canada called Exciter. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I was in 9th grade, and I was in a record store going through records, and I saw this record, and it had a girl pushing a door shut with 3 chains on it and a lock, and a guy's hand coming in with a knife, and it said Heavy Metal Maniac, and the band was called Exciter.
Wow.
And they do a song called War is Hell on that album, and that was the first metal band I ever heard of, and that was 1978. I
Did you
tell
see
you
what
what,
he did there?
to watch Blue Felix live, and I'm talking every aspect, down to your microphone. I mean, he has this crazy microphone.
Homemade gun thing, and
But
now
yeah,
it shoots
but-
sparks off
I mean,
of it. And,
just,
you know, it's
just to watch every aspect of the show, I gotta applaud you, man, and I gotta say,
appreciate it.
I'm envious. No, but I am. I'm envious. And,
It's awesome to hear.
And it goes. I was doing what you were doing a long time ago. Just never got to keep doing it. But I tell you, I really appreciate Blue Felix.
It's awesome.
If you haven't seen them, see them. Pull them up on YouTube.
BlueFelix.com.
BlueFelix.com. I'm telling you, they're an addictive band, and the first time I ever saw them, I was just amazed that they came
that's
from
awesome to
they
hear,
came
man.
from the state of Minnesota, because I haven't seen another band as entertaining in this state?
We try to keep it very, very entertaining. I mean, we put ourselves out there. There's a lot of chaos. I mean, a year ago, I broke my leg on stage, swinging from the ceiling. I dropped down, snapped it, finished 2 songs with my leg fully disconnected, hanging out, screaming to the crowd. Sat in an ambulance outside in Toledo in the street in the ambulance till the guy finally drugged me away, taking pictures with fans. I did not want to leave. These fans were pointing at my broken leg, laughing, taking pictures of it.
This was actually the first Blue Felix video I ever came across on YouTube, and I loved it from day one. I've watched it literally like 10,000 times, and I still can't stop watching it, and it's...
Put your middle finger up.
Whether you're an amateur, novice guitar player, or you're a complete expert, if you're an amateur, you will not be intimidated coming in the store. It's like walking into your family's living room. I mean, everybody here is super cool. If you don't know certain things, if you don't know what certain guitars are, if you don't know certain amps, they'll tell you, they'll teach you. If you're an expert, if you're the best guitar player there is and coming here, you'll be impressed. They have an unbelievable inventory. Come and check out Willie's Guitars here in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Rockin' 101, celebrating 30 years of Rockin', a Minnesota TCB-owned rock station for nearly 50 years. Rockin' 101, banging loud and large in central Minnesota, along with the North Metro Twin Cities. The Rock Station. Rockin' 101. Go rock yourself.
Hey, I'm here with Exhale from Blue Felix here at Willie's American Guitar. We're going to show different tones of different guitars, why certain bands play certain guitars. This is actually my favorite sounding guitar is a Les Paul. I know you play Gibson.
Yep,
right?
I play a V.
Play a V. I just like them because they're like that chunky, deep
Absolutely,
sound.
definitely, you know, 2 humbuckers.
This is my favorite. We're going to let him play some riffs and so you can hear the difference.
Cool. Well, the Les Paul's got humbuckers. That's definitely going to be, you know, your chunkiest sound, big rock sound, you know. if you're in the bridge position, that's usually going to be a lot of the rhythm stuff, the real chunky chords, and then palm mutes, you know.
This is more of like what I call blues-based guitar. Like to me, like Guns N' Roses is a blues-based rock band. I mean,
Yeah.
they play blues riffs. So this is a guitar, Slash only plays Les Pauls, and just because it's a blues-based guitar, right? And is that because it has that chunk?
I mean, it depends on.
Like, why do all those blues-based guitar players play a Les Paul?
Well, to me, it's a thicker, chunky sound, but at the same time, I mean, blues-wise, you can get a lot of that sound out of a Strat too. I mean,
right?
like Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan and that kind of stuff. Jeff Beck actually got pretty hard with it too. But
it's just a heavier sound.
Yeah, and if you flip to the neck pickup, it's a little fatter, a little warmer sounding. It's not so much for the power chords, but it works real nice if you're trying to do the lead stuff,
Nice little higher tone. So let's play a couple chords on this and then switch to a Strat just to see the difference in the tones.
So I mean, again, with the leads even a little fatter,
I just think that's a great sound, man.
Yeah,
so we just heard the Les Paul, which is my favorite guitar. This is a Strat. Fender's been around forever. A lot of people swear by Fender Strats. For me personally, when I go and see a rock band playing Strat, I don't know. To me, it's just automatic. I don't like them as much as a band playing Les Pauls. But we're gonna hear Exhale play the Strat. See if you can even hear a difference.
It's cool. It's a little thinner sound. You get more of that Clapton kind of sound on the bridge. You flip to the neck and you can get, again, a lot of those.
When you say flip to the neck, you're going to the higher pickup,
flipping to this pickup.
Right.
Strats, the Les Pauls actually have a three-way pickup selector.
Can you hit all three pickups, or you can't?
You can't hit all three with this particular guitar, but essentially your second position is going to be these two pickups, and your fourth position is going to be these two pickups, which actually, I'll show you this one, but I'll come back to that fourth one.
The farther down you go, the deeper the tone?
Yeah, the more you get towards your neck, the more you're, again, going to get into that, more fat, bluesy kind of.
Do you find that one or the other stay in tune better than another guitar?
I think Gibsons and Fenders are both pretty good if they're USA made. A lot of production models that get done overseas and stuff sometimes can
Do you
have.
find a big difference between older and brand new, like stuff made in 2000s and stuff made in the 80s?
I got
70s?
I have a 1983 Fender Strat that I never would play on stage with Blue Felix. It's just not a metal guitar, but I mean that thing to this day is a tank. I could run over it with a car and it'll still stay in tune. And well, the other thing that's cool with the Strat is that a lot of people like, and one thing I do like a Strat for is like cleaner stuff. If you really want to get into, you can get a really nice fat warm sound. And especially going back to on that fourth position when you're using these two pickups, you can get kind of that old Hendrix sound.
Before?
I have not actually. This is my first time.
I'll tell
Very
you what,
impressed.
this store is, I don't care if you're an expert or an amateur. If you're an expert, you'll come here, you'll be blown away the inventory they have. They have a couple guitars back there that cost more than my house. If you're an amateur, don't know anything about guitars, they'll come in, they'll tell you, they'll teach you. Don't feel embarrassed if you don't know something. They're used to it. And come check out Willie's Guitar. I want to thank Exhale for showing us the difference between the different guitar tones. And I'll check out Blue Felix, man, trust me, they're the real deal.
Self-inflicted masquerade, morbid gifts with hand grenades. face of my enemy.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Modern Rock. Make sure you check out Blue Felix. It's bluefelex.com. Make sure you check out Willie's Guitar and check out my website, rockinthistown.com. ROCKIN thistown.com. And all this show and all our past shows are on my website. Check them out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you tuning in.